Hello everyone and welcome to the Racing Social Weekend Preview. As you can see, I'm joined by Dawn and the returning Jay Dutton. Jay, good to see you. How are you?
Good, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It has been a while since I was last on one of these with you.
No, that's it, and that's why there's a Thames qualifier we can look at, but we might swerve that one just to ease you back in.
Take far too long for that job.
And Dawn, how you been?
Great, and it's great, Jay, to have you back. I knew you'd only come back because all the goodies are coming out now, you see. I see what you're doing.
Get into the good time of the season now.
Oh, exactly.
Obviously, usually we go through the ITV races, but a quick run through last weekend. Just quick questions. Jay, it was Cheltenham Festival Trials Day. Did we see any festival winners on the card?
Did we see any festival winners? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we definitely did, I think. He might have got beat, but I'd say Leopardstown. He come out to the race with great credit. The horse that won the trial, the last race on ITV, the one of, I can't even think of the name, Rock My Way.
Yeah.
Don't know whether he'll go Ballymore or Albert Bartlett. I don't really see him as a challenger at Cheltenham, but I thought that was an interesting race for what it was. That was the start of the day, that was the end of the day. I can't really remember what happened in between that, to be honest.
What about you, Dawn? Anything catch your eye last weekend at Cheltenham?
Yeah. Well, Gold Tweet, Joe, I have to get behind Gold Tweet because you know the way we were all hoping and praying that it was Paisley Park, but it wasn't. So if anybody could have done it, because I'd been at Gowran on Thursday, and now our new favourite for the stairs is Teahupoo. Yeah. A tongue twister. But I adore that horse. To see Erica walk around that parade ring, and I know I'm trying to sell him to you, Joe. I know we've had this discussion, but he just, when Davy asked him, he went, okay, 12 lengths, no problem, Davy. And then I went and did my little bit of digging when Gold Tweet won the other day. And it turns out that Gabrielle, who trains Gold Tweet, trained Teahupoo as a 3-year-old. So you see, it's all lining up nicely in that respect. And a special shout out as well to Ahoy Senior, because I think now we can say, you know, you might not disregard him as much for the Gold Cup again. So the two of them caught my eye. What I like is the line of Teahupoo and Golden Tweet. But Ahoy Senior, I was delighted for Lucinda, and I think he's worth a bit of consideration now for a place in the Gold Cup.
Yeah, 100%.
Gold Tweet's disappointing French name. I wanted something a bit more exotic, like normal.
To strangle me with.
I'm going to talk about two mares. Jay, I'm going to ask you about the first one. We spoke about it last Sunday. Epatante. She was brilliant again. Mare's Hurdle, favourite?
100%. She should be on the Mare's Hurdle.
Yeah, I agree. And she'll probably win it, wouldn't she, if she went there?
Yeah, she would win it. She'd be favourite, to be honest. And at all this talk of there's no point running the champion hurdle against Constitutional, like she comes second in the last two. There's absolutely no chance she's beating him in the champion hurdle. She's been lapped by him twice this year already. It's pointless going there. It's also pointless waiting for Aintree. She ran at Cheltenham last year and still won at Aintree anyway. Let her do both. Yeah, you know what I mean, she's not overly hardly over raced for a horse of her age and a CV, to be honest. To crack on, let her go and win the mares and then go on to Aintree.
Yeah, and on to another mare, Dawn, Princess Zoe over hurdles, dead heat, good little run, I thought.
Brilliant run, Joe. Absolutely brilliant. And I had pangs for Punchestown that I wasn't there. It was what you turn up for. It's a race I think we'll always remember now. And what I loved beforehand was, you know, you had Tony and then you had Tony's baby riding, you know, and it was just, it's reminiscent of Dawn Run. And Tony has openly said as well that like it was her welfare that came first, but he believed in her. And she just ping, 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 ping until the last. But that was a novicey mistake. First time, and what a good flat mare. And I mean, we were talking about she could make history. She could make history if she goes to Cheltenham and wins. And after that performance, people will take me on and say, "Oh no, you're a dreamer." I am a dreamer, and I admit that. And I love a fairy tale. And now Tony is saying, well, she might go in the novices or she might go in the Albert Bartlett. So where does she go? The novice mares or the Albert Bartlett? He'll decide. He'll know what to do with her. And I was delighted that they dead heated as well, because Ladybank gave a very, very good run at 40-1. And Rachel dropped her stick. So, but it was just lovely. And afterwards, the two girls having the pictures and Danny and Rachel there, it was just everything you'd want on a kind of a grey, drizzly old Monday. And again, like we say, it's what racing's all about.
Definitely is what racing is all about. So let's get stuck into the weekend's action. Then we're going to, as you said, Sandown and Leopardstown, with maybe some fancy from Musselburgh. We'll kick off at Sandown first, if you don't mind, and we'll start up in the 1:45 2-mile handicap chase. Jay, welcome back. You can have first dibs.
Thank you very much. Red Rookie is the one I like in this for Emma Lavelle. I think he is a proper 2-miler, this horse. He ran last time at Chepstow, first time up in a very competitive race. He's shaped like he needed the run. He was running, he was an 80-1 outsider in the Arkle. No one gave him a chance. I certainly didn't give him a chance, but he was running really well for a long way in that race before coming down. The handicappers dropped him £1, and I think with that run under his belt, dropping back down to 2 mile, and the fact he's already won around Sandown, I think he's got a lot in his favour, to be honest. So I'd be quite happy to take a chance on him at 6-1.
Yeah, I'm quite keen on the favourite, Dolos, Sandown specialist. 3 wins and 2 second place in this race. He's arguably in better form prior to this race than in previous years. If you go through his form, he's actually running really well this year. And obviously, he's 10 years old. He's not getting any younger, but I do think he's the standout bet in this race. And obviously, Harry Cobden is absolutely riding out his skin this season. So anything he rides has got a chance. So it'd be Dolos for me. Dawn, 11-4 Dolos. Are you with him?
Completely, Joe. I did have Hadak de Zobo, but he came out, so I left him. And he's come out twice now, so I won't talk about what could have been, and I talk about what will be, and that's Dolos for me as well. You've got the editor Dejit form there, you know, he was third to him. You've got second to Grenadine. Nice horse. I like him a lot. He's eye-catching. He's 10. Okay, what's aged, you know, that way. Harry Cobden, like you said, riding out of his skin. The ride he gave on El Rodotto last week, I don't care what anybody says, I thought it was superb. So yeah, I'm Dolos all the way.
Okay, 2 for Dolos. So moving now to 220, which is the grade 1 on the card, the Sicily Novice Chase. This has been won by some very, very good horses in the past, and whether we've got some quality in this race to reach them standards, we don't know. Time will tell. But Jerry Colomb, the Irish rider, heads to betting Dawn. And what can you tell us about Jerry Colomb?
Well, he was the Albert Bartlett favourite last year, Joe, and then, you know, he had the setback, and Gordon always said he'd go chasing, and he has gone chasing. And look, he bet Adamantly Chosen, who is one of my 5 to follow, who I think a lot of. He bet him on Boxing Day. Kilcrut was third that day. He always runs a good race. He won his beginner's chase, beating Braun. We seen Braun gave Willie his 4,000 last week at Fairy House. I really like him. I know he's in the Browns and he's in the Hunt Cup. Jordan Gainsford is up on him, no better man. And like I say, Gordon has always said he'd send him chasing, and I think he thinks an awful lot of this horse. I listened to him in an interview. He was quite bullish about him. He was going to Sandown, and that's that. And there was, you know yourself, no matter how rich or how poor you are, traveling horses back and forth, even traveling up the road now and your car's expensive, he's not sending them over for nothing. He's testing them in the UK because he couldn't last year. Jerry Colombi all the way for me.
And Jay, we've got a love-hate horse in this field. I want your thoughts on, you know who we mean.
Monmoral.
Yeah.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do honestly just think Monmoral's just probably bordering on a high-end handicapper. Why is that so hard to say? I don't know. But yeah, a high-end handicapper. I don't think, he might have won the grade 1 at Aintree as a juvenile hurdler. Juvenile hurdling to novice chasing is a completely different world apart, and obviously a few years later. The ground might not be as soft as Jerry Colombo wants it, but even still, he'll just move these English hounds out the way like they're not even there. They're absolutely awful. I half respect Thunder Rock. I think Thunder Rock's got a bit of ability, but he was just walking through fences the other week at Cheltenham, and probably the fact he finished as close as he did after jumping like a clown probably shows the ability that he's got. But the Sandown is just as tough a test as Cheltenham jumping wise, if not tougher. So we'd want to brush up his jumping, but I don't see how Jerry Colon doesn't win this. I do think he might only be coming over here because Gordon's obviously got the other horse running in the Dublin Racing Festival.
Yeah.
What's it called? The one's favourite, Mighty Potter.
Mighty
Potter.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably just shuffled his pack a little bit and brought him here for a proper week, grade 1.
Is it possible that Monroe bumped into one on New Year's Day?
Maybe, but what I don't really like with Monroe is, and he done it against John Bon as well. Like he jumps very well, but then doesn't really do anything with it. Do you know what I mean? Like you think, he'll win next time, whatever. But he keeps jumping well and still getting beat. And for a novice chaser who jumps well, you're halfway there. You're halfway to winning, aren't you, straight away? But for whatever reason, he's just not doing it. And to be honest, second time out, I thought he was a bit slower a couple. I thought he wasn't as good second time as he was first time.
No, that's what I think. Sandown will suit Monroe a bit better than Cheltenham. I think when the fences come fast and quick on the railways, that's when it allows him to jump a bit better, if that makes sense. Like to do at Warwick, for example.
Yeah. He has. He's got to be in a rhythm though when he's coming to them, because if he's not, he'll just,
Yeah, I'm willing to give Monroe one last chance. I think Sandown will really suit him. If Cobden can get him jumping fence to fence, I think that will help. And I think he did bump into one on Cheltenham New Year's Day. And Jerry Colon, admittedly, he is higher rated horse, and he's coming over. Obviously, he ain't coming over for no reason. I do think he might want it a bit softer, and maybe he might want a bit further. It might just be a bit too sharp a test for him, but we'll see. The Monroe's my selection, obviously Jerry Colon for you two. So we're going to swerve the 10th qualifier, which is the 5 to 3. I'm going to go on to the 3:30, which is a handicap chase, 3 miles. It's not the greatest looking race on paper, Dawn. I think 6 to 1 favourite says it all. So take it away.
Well, I'm going to go with the Gorgeous Grey, Joe, by Scirocco. And I was sent his video when he won at Cheltenham in December. And the owners seem to be absolutely lovely. Tim Vaughan, the horse is a bit of a dude, Eva's Oscar. And, I know you're saying it's not a great race, but there's some goodies in there, and I think he's one of the goodies. He was second before then, and that's when he caught my eye, so I kicked myself when I didn't take him in December. Does he know Betham that day, and does he know is entered for the Grand National trial in 2 weeks' time? So I really like Eva's Oscar, a grey on a Saturday, a lovely grey gelding for me. And I also like Venetia Williams, Lascalin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he was third to Grumpy Charlie. I thought he would have stayed second, but he made a little bit of a mishap. He was second to Lemilos, Skelton's horse. Fifth to your lovely Galloping Bear, who I always like to mention. And he bet Tide Times by 3 lengths at Ludlow in November in a chase, and Tide Times went on and won a month afterwards then. So between the two of them, I like both of them. Am I going to be greedy? Lusk na Lynn is 7 to 1, Eva's Oscar 6 to 1.
Gotta be greedy.
I'm going to be greedy. But the Gorgeous Grey, I'd be more than happy if it's the Gorgeous Grey. So Eva's Oscar, and if Lascalin comes in, I'm happy enough too.
Okay. Jay, where's the value lie?
I actually really like Bangers and Cashier for Ben Paulin. It's obviously no secret what a good season he's been having, but he's been having an even better season when you just look at his chasers. His chasers have been absolutely flying. This is a young stayer who's doing everything right. He's going the right way. This is a step up in class for him as to what he's been racing against. But I think he's the type of horse, the better the race, the better he'll be. He's only 7. He's the youngest horse in the race, so there's loads of upside to him. Stamina is no issue whatsoever. Like he'd run marathons and that, no problem. 6 to 1, I reckon, is a fair bit of value for him, to be honest.
Okay, one for Ben Paulin. I quite like Larry, Gary Moore's horse. He seems to generally run well at Sandown. He won at Ascot in November, and then he was sixth at Kempton in December. He's been dropped a pound, but on hindsight, that wasn't a bad run. It was a decent enough race when you go through it. It depends what jumper mood he's in. If he's in the right mood, he can easily get involved. But if he's not, he could easily just pull up. He's one of them. I think he's 16-1. I think if you're willing to take a chance on him, I think 16-1 is good value for Larry, for Gary Moore. So now we move on to Leopardstown. We're going to start off in the 1, and I must admit, I haven't really got a strong opinion on this race. Not because I don't want to, it's because I haven't really got much knowledge on the actual runners. They've caught me by surprise, really. It's a division that I haven't really looked at in depth as the season's gone on. Jay, can you shed any light on it?
Yeah, I think the favourite's got a solid chance. He's definitely the right favourite, but he probably is just a little bit short for my liking. I'll probably end up backing Nigel Twiston-Davies' horse here and just hoping his bravery for sending one over is rewarded. You know, we all sit here, we all wish more English would come and have a go over in Ireland. But he's took this horse. You know, it's an expensive horse. He's got, I think, it cost £210,000 after his point to point. He's a big raw horse. He's a proper stayer. Ultimately, you're talking about a 3-mile chaser. But I think he'll go well here, and I think he's the type you'll end up seeing in an Albert Bartlett at Cheltenham in next month. They started him off in a Ballymore trial, grade 2, straight up over hurdles. He was too big and raw to do himself justice, and he ended up being beat well into third. Well, he was only beat 10 lengths, to be honest, by Hermes Allen. Obviously, he's the Ballymore favourite. And then he come out second time out back at Cheltenham. And he looked a little bit more finished. Obviously, he's still got a lot of learning to do about the job. The improvement there was like he could physically see it. Jumped a lot better. He really dug in, battled, stayed on well up the hill. I just think this is a horse you're going to see a different species, and he's a 3-mile chaser. But even stepping up to 3 mile, I think he'll run really well here. And like I say, him sending one over, I'd like to see him be rewarded for his bravery.
It reminds you of the Henry Daly horse from last season, Hillcrest.
Yeah, he is that big type of stayer, isn't he? Probably not as big as him, but yeah, I know what you're saying there.
So, Dawn, what do we like in this very good race on paper?
No, it's a very good race on paper, Joe. And Barry Connells is I can understand why he's favourite, you know, good land. We've all been caught. Twiston-Davies, I'm delighted. I am delighted and excited that they're coming over. I'm just, you know, like the Punchestown Festival and that, when they come over, like the likes of Paisley Park when he came over last year, it's just great to see them, you know, because you they're living in your sitting room every Saturday if I'm not getting my air miles in, and it's just brilliant. And he's a very good horse, so he deserves respect. I have been watching, and he's always been on my mind, to quote the Pet Shop Boys. Sangor Kilgane. Okay, he was the horse that got close to Facile Vega last year. Really like him. He won at the end of November under Sean O'Keefe. And I went, oh, hey up, I kind of forgot about you. I thought about you last year. I forgot about you. And now you're back and you're kind of showing us what you really are made of. And Paul is very, very he's value at 9-2, I think. He was 7th behind Facile Vega at the Punchestown Festival, which I was disappointed. I thought he'd go closer. But American Mike was 3rd that day. Seabank Bistro was 6th, who we seen win at Naas the other day, and ran fantastic. He's another one for the books now. He is a smashing horse. Excuse my pronunciation. Carn Van Nook. The double green Maneers.
The double green, the Crawford.
Yeah, he was 8th, and then he won at Downpatrick back in November as well, and in Ayr. So there's a lot to make a case. He's got an entry for the Albert Bartlett. He's 10s. So I have him down. And my old friend American Mike as well. You know, I'm going off the Dawn Rising form because we've got Dawn Rising. And again, I'll mention the name, Champ Kiley. So you've got that all set up there too. He was a very good horse. He is a very good horse. Gordon said he wasn't quite right after Navan, and the next name was Leopardstown, so he's turning out. I went and looked at his price for the Supremes and the Ballymore. He's 28s and 20-1. If he puts in a performance that people believed he did have in him, and he comes back to his best, he's value for Cheltenham if he goes and wins this Saturday. Sorry, I'm premature because I'm that pumped for it. But Sangor Clegane or American Mike, or let it be the have we been caught? Because it'd be nice to send some of our, trophies home to the UK for a change.
Just on this race, sorry, I know Willie Mullins got a brilliant record in it, but his horse, that Quayos de Paris, probably said that wrong, but the Richie horse, he's in 9-2, second favourite, obviously Tannen's riding him. But if you watched him on New Year's Day at Tremor, like, he had a bit of a reputation going into that. He was 1-5, and he literally scraped on by the skin of his teeth. You're watching them jump in the last couple, and like you wouldn't put your life on him winning it at that stage. He's up like 6 furlongs in trip. Ground's going to be a lot better. You literally, if you're backing him, you're all putting ultimate faith into Willie Mullins being the genius that he is to get something out of this, because I couldn't be backing that at 9-2 after what I seen only last month.
Get ready for the screen record when it wins on Saturday.
There we go. I'm ready already.
So move on to the 155 now. The juvenile hurdle, grade 1. Lossiemouth is all the rage here, and looking at the field, I can't see her losing. What about you, Jay?
I honestly just think this race is bordering on embarrassing for racing, to be honest. Like, imagine Willie Mullins didn't exist. You'd be looking at a horse trained by Henry de Bromhead and another horse that's 250 to 1. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's shocking. Do I see Lossiemouth losing? Absolutely not. There was a horse that finished 4th over in France that's also found a way into Willie Mullins' yard called Cinsa, who runs 40 to 1. She was well beaten, so I'm surprised the Sullivans have won, and she probably would have cost a few quid, and she's ended up with Willie Mullins. Techio, he's obviously here to get qualified for the Boodles, isn't he, having his 3rd run? Yeah. And then that gust of wind, there's a bit of talk about him, but talk about her, sorry, but I can't see Lossiemouth losing. I'm big on Blood Destiny, mate, for the triumph, so if she did lose, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for me, because then I'd know Town was riding Blood Destiny at Cheltenham. But in all seriousness, this should be an absolute walk in the park for her. Yeah.
Lossiemouth, her race to lose, Dawn?
I think it's her race to lose, Joe, but I hope there isn't a bit of messing around. Like I said to you at Leopardstown, that day, Cougar kind of made a bit of a mess of the race, because you know how much I adore Nusret as well. I know he's going for the Boodles now, but I think Cougar messed Nusret up. I think he would have come closer to Lossiemouth that day too, which would have given us more of a kind of an idea where he goes. But we're talking about Lossiemouth now. I have in brackets Unicorn. And she's Lord Glitter's relation on the mum's side, who, he's the globe-trotting king. Comfort Zone, you've seen what he can do now. Again, he's finished behind her. I do like the second favourite, though, too. So if something was to go wrong, Gala Marku, Danny is up. And if Danny, is riding hard, coming hard up the straight with Lossiemouth, you could have a little bit of a battle. I thought Gala Marku was a bit of an eye catcher coming out of Leopardstown. I see people are beginning to mention that a good bit, but do I want Lossiemouth bet? No, I don't. I want my very aesthetically pleasing unicorn pictures, which will be adorned all over Twitter. So yes, Lossiemouth, please, for me.
Probably a few in here, Jay, with the Boodles in mind, not wanting to finish too close to Lossiemouth.
Yeah, that's the other thing, isn't it? You could get a bit of an overreaction if she does go and bolt up by 10 lengths, where, like, obviously Techio's there to just run and get that 3rd run into him. He doesn't want to be finishing next to him and going into the Boodles off a marker like 140. Just doesn't need that to be happening. Not sure what the plan is for Kenny Alexander's horse with Mullins. What she had just the one run, has she done?
Yeah, just the one, Jen.
So you'd imagine she would be edging toward the triumph, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think this is a bit of a non-event, really, in all honesty.
Yeah. So moving on from a non-event into what I think is the race of the weekend. This Harcourt Novice Chase Grade 1 is an absolute stonking race. And thank you, Willie Mullins, for Send in your whole army here because this is brilliant. Jay, this is proper hardcore trial stuff, isn't it?
Brilliant race, absolutely brilliant race. And thank you, Willie Mullins, for sending your whole army here because I'm going to get a better price on Banbridge now. I'm hoping Banbridge upsets the party. So obviously Mullins has got his 3 in there, which is making him a nice enough price. I think he's got the most experience in the field. He won the Grade 2 Arkle Trial at Cheltenham last month. He's already a Martin Pipe winner, so he's had that, hustle and bustle of a big field handicap. He jumps brilliantly. The better the ground, the better he'll be. Just a quick run through the Mullins horses. I think Appreciate it's 100% beatable. Now, that might sound like a bit of a daft thing to say about a horse who's only lost once, and that was in a champion hurdle. He's two out of 2 as a chaser. But that first time, I think Top Bandit was coming for him, apart from that mistake at the last. I would not be guaranteeing that he was going to win that race. His second start over fences was a bit of a non-event. Obviously, we lost Top Bandit early on in the race, and he just cruised on, jumped a few fences. I think most impressively jumping-wise, Dysart Dynamo, I thought he was faultless. Obviously won by a street. I just don't know at the very top level, would he want soft to heavy ground really to be at his brilliant best? I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence with him. Most talented, I'd say, would be El Fabiolo out of them 3, for me anyway. I think he's got so much ability, but first time out over fences, he was another one. He was headbutting fences as well, but the engine on him was ridiculous. And I thought the race he put up with John Bonner-Ainsley last year over hurdles, for a horse that missed Cheltenham due to I think he stood on a stone or something proper daft the day he meant to run in the Supreme. For a horse with so little experience to get into a battle so far out with John Bonner and go as well as he did, I think it shows he's got so much ability. If he can improve his jumping, he'd be bang there. But I think Banbridge is the here and now horse. The ground won't be too soft. I think Banbridge will cause an upset here, and there'll be a few Willie Mullins fans who are a bit upset.
Now, this is going to be a proper burner. I mean, Dysart's going to go up front, and I think he's going to have 3 or 4 go with him. Just touching on what Jay said there, I love Al Fabiolo. I think from what he did at Aintree with so little experience, like you said, that just speaks volumes of the engine on the horse. And he backed that up at Punchestown after. His novice chasing on debut, he didn't jump very well, as Jay said, but first novice chase, obviously I can forgive him that. I think he'd been in school plenty enough since then. Darrell's over to ride him. I'm certain he's going to improve massively, but let's not forget, he still won by 19 lengths on his debut. So he is the one for me. Yes, he's got to improve his jumping, but I think he will. I think that's a given that he is going to improve. So Al Fabiolo to me, 13 to 2, I can't believe he's that big a price, really, to be fair. I can't believe the difference between Appreciate It and him is massive. So Al Fabiolo for me. Dawn, I know you're a big fan of Appreciate It. Is he a tad short?
I've been watching during the week, Joe, and it's like the money has spilt in. From somewhere or something, the money has spilt in. Now, I'm not going to abandon him because I can't stop looking at him. I could just stare at him all day. He's just incredible. He's just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Rathmore Stud, the people who bred him, are some of the nicest people. They also bred Tell Me Something Girl. And he is a dude of a horse, and it's like he knows people are there to see him. And, we cannot forget what he has won. We cannot forget what he's been in front of. Yeah, I agree with Jay to an extent about poor old Top Bandit, and we'll never know what could have been at Naas then too. Would he have come to kind of eyeball him? But I do think he would have maybe pulled away again. It was so impressive at Naas, and he came back into the parade ring and he was going, give me more, I'm ready for more. So I think he's the worthy favourite. Dysart Dynamo, we all whisper over here about Dysart Dynamo that if he had stayed up at Cheltenham, would he have come closer to your darling hero, the Horsegasmic Constitution? We'll never know because, as they say, if my aunt had, she'd be my uncle. So we'll never know about that. I think Phil Dore is huge at 14s. I'm not going to stop from having a euro or two there. El Fabiola, well, I do have a thing for him too. I can make an argument for all of them, really, when I look down at who's in there. But I think I will be using my overused gif of appreciate it. I am sticking with my guy. Handsome is as handsome does.
Yeah,
it's a great chance for someone to go and set the gauntlet down to take it to jump on at Cheltenham, isn't it? This, if someone can, such a good race on paper. If someone can come out and demolish a field, then we've got a serious race in 6 weeks' time.
Yeah.
If someone does win impressively, are we looking at joint favourites for the Arkle?
Especially if it's trained by Willie Mullins, I'd say so. Yeah, considering
Absolutely.
It's really Henderson and Mullins who win the Arkle, I'd say so.
Yeah, and John wants you out next week or couple of time, isn't he, in the Kingmaker?
Yeah, that was.
We won't, even though we won't learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
Whereas this race, we will learn an awful lot. So we move on to the Paddy Power Irish Gold Cup now, another grade one, and Galloping Deschamps, the talking horse from Ireland, 1 to 3. He is here to stake his Gold Cup claim. I must confess, this is Leopardstown. It's going to be totally different to Cheltenham. So even if he does win, for me, it doesn't really affect the Cheltenham market. Dawn, all in on Galloping?
All in on Galloping, Joe. I can't. Legs 11. I stood freezing cold on the 19th of December for the rescheduled John Durkin. And I went, wow. He's just, and again, like I was saying about Tiapu, he just does it easy. He does it easy, and you think you can't. And look, we think back again to Cheltenham last year, but I remember Willie's debrief after the Dublin Racing Festival last year, and he said he'd want to clean up his jumping, and that was the thing that caught him out at Cheltenham, because as we all know in the game, you have to jump to win. But the interesting thing is, as well, to go back to my appreciate it, in 2021, he was 6th to appreciate it. Blue Lord was 3rd that day. So you've got a lovely bit of solid form there, and no one thinks of appreciate it in the way they think of Galloping Deschamps. And Galloping Deschamps, now that La Homme Press has come out of the Gold Cup, he's the one to the one to beat, I think. And I know we're not going to learn much, we're saying already, about Cheltenham, because Leopardstown and Cheltenham are so different. But he's definitely there. If he doesn't win, and it'd want to be something seriously wrong if he doesn't, because he has to have improved since what I seen in December again. And it's easy as you like. Any second now, I think he deserves a little shout to run into place money. I seen him at Punchestown New Year's Eve, and he's going to have one more run after this and then go on to Aintree. The big dog, he's 100 to 1, but he's such a cool guy, and Statler, that run to Manila Indo at Tremor, he's good value too, but I think we're talking about place horses as opposed to Galloping Deschamps. I think it's Galloping Deschamps and then the rest. Who places after that? If you wanted to try a nice little, forecast or reverse forecast or something, forecast, we won't reverse it. There you go, you get a little bit of value. But yeah, Galloping Deschamps all the way. I know it's boring, and I know it's fabs, and we know we like to give 50 to 1 winners, but I can't see past them, and I won't see past Mr. Legs 11.
It's a shame there is only 7 runners. It takes the each way play out of it, really. I suppose with the Statler, Jay, if this was 2 furlongs longer, Statler might make him work, would he?
I wish it was, to be honest, Joe, because I would love to see Galloping Deschamps' stamina tested. I've said it all along, to me, he's a Ryanair horse. Nothing about him, to me, is a Gold Cup horse. He jumps too quick, he travels too well. He's just, I'd rather run him in a champion chase me than a Gold Cup, and maybe I'm just going nuts, but I'm being deadly serious. I would. I'd just let him attack everything from the front. His jumping, I know Willie Mullins, even as a novice, what Dawn said, was a little bit picky with him. But for me, I thought his jumping was brilliant. Like, he was a bit higher a couple, but he was safe, he was quick, he was accurate. From the day he's jumped defence, he wasn't scared to fly one or anything like that. I don't know. I don't really know how this race is going to pan out. I don't think he's going to get his stamina tested, so I don't think we're going to learn anything. No. I think he's going to have too much class, too much ability. Statler, he obviously comes second to Melanindu last time. Not saying it was a bad ride by Paul Townend, but you got the impression it was just a starting point and not more, not less. I think if Willie Mullins and Paul Townend's life depended on Statler winning that race at Tramore, like, he would have won that race if he really wanted him to, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Made up with Dawn saying there any second now is going back to Winty for the National, because obviously he's come second in the last two, and Ted Walsh said, I don't think we'll be back for the third attempt, but deep down I've been thinking I'd love him to come back and have another go at it. So I've made up to that. Whether he'd be competitive in this, I don't know, but I really would love to see him back at Aintree. And yeah, I don't know, I find it hard to see Galopin Des Champs beat. And deep down, I still think they will run him in the Ryanair, you know.
Really?
Really, despite what they're saying, yeah, I really do.
It's interesting.
Willie playing games again.
You mentioned any second now, though. I quite fancy him to follow a Galopin Des Champs home. His running the hurdles in December over an Inadequate Trip was an absolute brilliant run. Obviously, he's got bigger targets ahead, but I think if this race falls apart, you can guarantee any second now will be there to pick up the pieces. So, on the off chance this race falls apart, he'll try and chase Galopin Des Champs. If he just mops up second place, it'd be happy days at 33-1. And I don't know how much the forecast will pay with Galopin Des Champs, but that's the way I'd see it. As for Cheltenham, Galopin Des Champs, I'm not convinced by the Gold Cup, but we can have that conversation on our festival preview night, can't we?
You know what? I will say one thing. Like I'm saying, I'm convinced he'll run in the Ryanair. Obviously, the one thing he has got in his favour, the Gold Cup pitch is a bit murky. It doesn't look the strongest of Gold Cup, so that might work in his favour. But I still think he'll find something that might just stay up the hill a little bit stronger than him.
Talking of the Gold Cup, Dawn, from, say, if he wins on Saturday, who has got the strongest form going into the Gold Cup? Murky old picture, isn't it?
It's very murky, and you kind of go as well, like there's whisperings here, and we have not listened to Shark Hanlon a number of times when he's told us, and the horse won his first Eclipse Award in Florida last week, Uick, and what a story, you know. I mean, I thought Protectorat was a contender.
I did,
after last week. I'm scratching my head now. I am, and maybe it was just an off day. We're all entitled to them too. And again, like I said, I mentioned Ahoy Senor, but from our camp, if Galopin Des Champs doesn't turn up, I'm trying to think what strong Gold Cup horses Gordon even has in mind, you know, that way. So I'm a bit. If you take Galopin Des Champs out, I'm scratching my head a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. Have I had a play on Uick already? I have, because I have ignored Shark twice. I'm not going to do it a third time. You know, he's kept the horse specially for that race. So yeah, it's a murky picture, though. I agree.
Just a quick one for you, Jay. Quick question: Gold Cup trip. Who do you think was going to see out better, Galopin or Brave Man's Game?
When you're asked on then which horse is going into it with the best form, I was actually thinking Brave Man's Game, but I was also thinking I don't particularly fancy him for the Gold Cup either.
No, it's got the best form.
That's a really tough question, that. Who do I think will see it out better, Brave Man's Game or him? I don't know, Joe. I don't know.
You've done this deliberately.
That's an absolute mind-boggle of a question. That I don't think either of them will particularly stay the final fair along that strong.
I've got a couple from Musselburgh and Sandown, just to note. One from the 128 Musselburgh, Headed as a Bow, hurdle win in November. Latest chase, second reads well behind T for 3, giving weight. I think he'll benefit from a Brian style ride at Musselburgh, and it could be quite hard to peg back. It's a lovely dashing grey for you, Dawn. Sandown, the Pertemps race. Obviously, Dolphin Square and Call Me Lord fought out a finish in a very similar race in December. I was there on Tingle Creek Day. They're both only £2 higher here, and it's a very similar race, and it's hard not to see them both be involved again. I mean, Ben Romley and David Maxwell thought a brilliant finish. And for Ben Bromley mistaking the finishing line, I'm sure Cornwall will all be primed to get that win under belt for Ben. So yeah, them two in the per temps qualifier take me eye. And then the last race at Sandown, bump horse wrapped up in May, highly rated by the Nichols team, so I'm told, potential star in the making. So wrapped up in May is one for the notebooks going forward after Saturday. Dawn, anything from yourself elsewhere?
Yeah, I have got one of my 5 to follow horses is actually underway to Musselburgh, John McConnell's Wrexham.
Okay.
So 3rd to Country Queen. You know, I had to get that in there. 11 days later, he went on and won in Downpatrick very, very easily. Then he was 3rd to Merlin Giant, which is Dad Lad's form, which is Editor De Geet form. So we've got all that backed up. John McConnell thinks a lot of the horse. I would disregard his run at Cheltenham back in November. That was when Shearer won that. He just wasn't himself, Joe. He wasn't the horse that I knew. He wasn't the horse that I was following. Wasn't the horse that I thought, you know, I'm steady as you like in my 5 to follow. He also won in Killarney back in August as well, beating Asperti, who we know was 3rd to Champ Kiley. So you've got a nice bit of form backed up there. Outlaw Pete is in that race too. Yeah, okay, but I can see a big case for Wrexham. He's carrying 11-8. Ben Harvey's back up on him. He knows him well. The horse has a great turn of foot. So if he gets that turn of foot and he gets his way, I think I'd like to see him win. I really, really would. And then I think it's the second last at Musselburgh, our Marty. Now, he didn't run great the last day, but he bet us at Perth. So he's always kind of been stuck in my mind. Just something to watch, whether he comes back to the form that he had at Perth that day. But Wrexham definitely for me. I'd be keen to see how he runs on Saturday at Musselburgh.
Okay. Anything from yourself, Jay?
Yeah, just the one for me at Musselburgh in the 316. I don't know what the ground is, but if the ground's soft, Lebowski, he's very interesting off 129. I liked them all last season. I actually backed him in the Supreme trial. I hate off what John Bon won. He was about 25 to 1, and in my opinion, he definitely would have been placed in that. He just started to get going, and he ended up pulling up about 2 out. I don't actually know what was up with him, but he got taken away in a horse ambulance, and there was a bit of concern about him. And then he turned up 2 months later at Sandown, and he come last. He ran no sort of race, so whatever it was, I don't think he was over it. Obviously, his season was done, and then he started again this year, and then he's come out and won a handicap at Weatherby really well. And I think he's want to keep on side going forward, especially when the ground's soft.
Yeah, about 4 to 1, really. I think one of your old flames in it, Capron, Dawn.
Oh, Joe, I mean, he ran last week too, and I think he was still running. I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know whether it was Punchestown that did it for me, standing in the rain, and the Aidan Coleman factor. But I'm glad I took him out of my 5 to follow for the season, because he breaks my heart every time. I gave him the benefit of the doubt after McFabulous. You know, he went at the first. Yeah. He probably wouldn't have bet McFabulous that day. I just don't know what the hell's going on with him. No. I don't know. I really don't. And it's when I stop backing him, he'll probably hack up. So I won't back him and watch him hack up.
Right, that concludes our part 1 weekend preview. We are back tomorrow, going to have a look at the Sunday's card from Leopardstown and Musselburgh. So look forward to seeing you then. Jay, great to have you back. Hope you have a good weekend.
Thanks very much.
Dawn, good to see you as always. And everyone, thanks for watching and good luck.